So what are we going to be learning in this module right here? The tags are custom applications, protocols, Apache, FTP, reconnaissance, website structure discovery, clear text credentials, and anonymous/guest access. All right, so let's start up the machine by clicking on the spawn machine button over here. Okay, so we have our target machine IP address. Just click on this, and it's going to copy the IP address to your clipboard. And then we're going to go over to our terminal. Not this one, but this one. Okay, so remember, the first scan we're going to do is an Nmap scan with very verbose and with 4 threads to make it faster. And we're also going to scan every port with -p-, and then we're going to paste in the IP address. So we're going to run the scan, and it's immediately going to find 2 ports that are open over here. It's port 21 and port 80. So while I'm waiting for the rest of the scan to finish, I'm going to pull up my notes for this machine. Hold on. Okay, so my notes over here say that there are only these 2 ports open on this machine, so we can stop scanning right now. So to stop the Nmap scan, we can Control-C to quit out of it, and then we're going to run our second Nmap scan. So the second Nmap scan is going to specify port 21 and port 80. So this is the syntax you use. It's -p, 1 port, and then comma, the second port. We're also going to try to identify the service version by using this flag right here, -S_V, and we're going to try to run any default scripts on those services with -SC. All right, so we're going to run the scan, and hopefully we're going to get some better information about these 2 open ports. Okay, so what do we have here? So we've got port 21. It's running an FTP service. FTP is the file transfer protocol, and FTP servers usually have files on them that you can download. And we see the specific version of FTP, which is VS-FTPD 3.0.3. And according to the scripts that we ran on it, there's anonymous FTP login allowed on this particular server, and it also got us the list of files that are available via FTP over here. So allowed.userlist and allowed.userlist.password. Okay, so this is a big thing. That's great. And we also have this right here, which is port 80, which is open. It's running HTTP as usual for port 80, and it also gives us the server information right here, which is Apache HTTPD 2.4.41, and this is the Ubuntu operating system. All right, so another thing we can do when we have a web server that we find is we can run the Nicto web application vulnerability scanner, and so the Nicto web application vulnerability scanner is going to scan a web page. Sorry, it's going to scan a website, and it's going to scan a web page, and it's going to try to determine if there are any interesting security flaws associated with that web page. So I'm going to run this right now. So Nicto is a pretty old program, but it's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good program to run on these CTF boxes. Stuff that you'll find on Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, because you can usually get some some good information from running this particular vulnerability scanner. So we're going to let that run for a little bit, and in the meantime, we're going to use FTP to try to access the file server. Okay, so I'm going to move into a temporary directory right now because I don't want whatever I'm going to download from the server to be sitting around in my regular file system. So we know that FTP is available on port 21. To use FTP, we just need to use the FTP command with the IP address. So it's FTP, paste in the IP address, and then we can try to log in. It's going to ask for a name, and since we know that anonymous FTP login is available, we use the anonymous username, and we're able to log in without a password. So sometimes it'll ask you for a password, and sometimes for the password you can just enter a blank password, and sometimes the password is also going to be the word anonymous. So we're in FTP now. When we're in FTP, we can, for the most part, we can use Linux commands. So we can do ls to see what's in the FTP directory, and we see there are two files over here. We're going to download them. So the way we download when we're using FTP is we use the get command, and we can also use tab autocomplete to autocomplete the names of files. So you just type the first couple letters of the file name and then press tab, and it's going to autocomplete the file name. So we're going to get the user list. So that is downloaded successfully, and then we're going to get the password list. So we're using get to download these two files right here. And after we've finished downloading the files, we can exit out of here. So to get out of the FTP program, we can just do exit. We give the exit command, and then we're out. Let's take a look at what is in the directory now. So there are some temporary files, and then there are two files that we downloaded over here. So it's allowed.userlist. So we're going to read that. And we see that there are these 4 usernames on the system. And we're also going to take a look at the password list. And there are these 4 passwords over here. So we're going to be using these this list of usernames and passwords in a little bit. But let's go back to our Nicto scan over here. So among the output in the Nicto web app vulnerability scan, we've got this one right here, login.php. So we know that there's a login page available on this web app, and there's also a configuration page over here. It says PHP config file may contain database IDs and passwords. Let's check out this one right over here first. So it says that there's a login page. So we can go over to our web browser, we can copy our IP address, and then we can go over to this particular IP address, make sure that we're using HTTP. And it says business is now digital. Okay, great. Well, we know that there is a so normally what we would do is we would look over the web page over here, and we would try to find out if there's anything suspicious about any of the output that we're seeing. We could try looking for robots.txt file, or we could try looking at the page source with the Control-U keyboard shortcut, and take a look at the source code over here to see if there's anything suspicious. But we know that there is a login page. We can navigate to the directory, to the page directly by going to login.php. So login.php, navigate over there, and this is a typical login page. We could try using the typical. We could try using the SQL bypass that we used for the other challenge. To see if we could log in without credentials. But it seems that this particular web app is not vulnerable to SQL injection. So it says warning, incorrect information. Okay, no problem. So this is where we're going. This is where the username and the password list that we discovered comes in handy. So okay, so we could manually go through each one of these passwords and usernames over here. I'm going to tell you that this is the username that we're looking for. So this is the admin username. Actually, we don't need to copy that. So we know there's root, there's super secret password 1, and we could try to iteratively log into the app using these passwords right here. So let's try super secret password 1. Copy that, and with the admin username. Okay, so we try admin with the super secret password 1 password, and we try to sign in, and that doesn't work. We're going to try admin again, but with another password. Okay, so let's try with this password right here. Okay, so let's try that password, which is this one right here. Sign in. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so let's try admin again with this password right here. The last one. Okay, and now we're logged in. But now that we've logged into the server by using the captured credentials, we have our flag right over here. So we're going to be using this flag in just a little bit. But let's take a look at this web app over here. There's a bunch of buttons that we can click on, and we can get charts and stuff. And apparently that doesn't go anywhere. And we can get tables. That doesn't go anywhere either. And there's a whole dashboard that we could explore over here. So if this were a more difficult challenge, it would probably have you going through the information inside of the web app, we could scan it for clues, and then we would go from there to try to compromise the web server. But let's answer the questions associated with this box. All right, so it was over here. Okay, so question 1. What Nmap scanning switch employs the use of default scripts during a scan? So we actually use this during our own Nmap scans. Whoops, where are we? Let me demonstrate. Okay, so we were running something like this, and this is the flag right here, which runs default scripts. And so for any service we find when we scan with Nmap over here, it's going to try to scan using some common scripts that are used for that particular service. And if it's vulnerable to anything from these common scripts, it's going to show you the results. And that's how we found out that there was anonymous login available on the FTP server. So the answer over here is -S. The next question is, what service version is found to be running on port 21? Okay, so if I remember correctly, it was VSFTPD 3.0.3. So the next question is, what FTP code is returned to us for the anonymous FTP login allowed message? Okay, so if you remember, there was this particular code associated with that, and that was code 230. So we can submit that as the answer. After connecting to the FTP server using the FTP client, what username do we provide when prompted to log in anonymously? Okay, so we were able to log in anonymously using a particular user account, and that one was anonymous. That is the answer. Okay, task number 5. So what command can we use to download the files we find on the FTP server? That is the get command. The get command is used to download files. Task number 6. What is one of the higher privilege sounding usernames in allowed.userlist that we downloaded from the FTP server? Okay, so the answer here is the admin username, which we're able to use to log in. We submit that as the answer. Okay, the next question is, what version of Apache HTTP server is running on the target host? Okay, so what version of Apache HTTP server? Let's take a look at the Nmap scans. So let's run the scan again. And let me grab my... Okay, so this is the Apache version right here. Let's copy this and provide it as the answer. I don't think we need this portion right here. We'll delete it, and we're going to submit that as the answer. Okay, so the next question is, what switch can we use with GoBuster to specify we're looking for specific file types? So we're talking about GoBuster again. Unfortunately, we didn't use GoBuster to enumerate to do any directory busting in this case. We're looking for specific file extensions, so it's going to be -x. So if you all wanted to try to use GoBuster to enumerate some directories, you're welcome to do so. But this is the answer. And the next question is, which PHP file can we identify with directory brute force that will provide the opportunity to authenticate to the web server? Remember that we ran the Nikto web app security vulnerability scanner, and it found this login page right here. So this is the answer. With stuff like Burp Suite. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is we need to submit the root flag, which we found after we logged into the web app. And it is done. Okay, so it says, we get this message over here, Crocodile has been pwned, and we are finished. Hey there, HackerFrogs! Are you enjoying this workshop? Learning new concepts and skills? If so, there's a way you can support the channel, and it's totally free. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, click on the like button. And if you have questions or comments on this workshop, please leave them below the video. Thanks for listening. And now, back to our scheduled programming.